Hi, Naktikala here once again. Happy AIDS Week 2024. I hope I'm gonna make and move videos for this week, but I'm not completely sure. I'm working on many videos, but let's see what happens. And today I will be drinking. This is apple soda. It's black, so matches my ring. And probably this. I was very surprised when I found out the battery. It makes energy drinks. It's a Finnish brand, and this is blue raspberry. Let's see if I need to cook that one up. So today I'm gonna be. This is kind of like an extra episode, a bonus episode for asexuality in film because I'm gonna be talking about an aspect of asexual representation, but only been once depicted in film. I'm talking about the representation of ace groups or asexuality groups. So, I like that because a lot of queer representation will happen specifically within relationship representation. Like there are shows like Heartstopper that really show the community aspect of queerness, but also a lot of time representation will be like singular queer person. Maybe they have a significant other, and maybe that significant other actually has a plot of their own, but usually not. So a lot of it's very singular. So I like so when it comes to asexual representation, you can't necessarily do that. Like because like being asexual, like it's a. I'm not saying that it's well, it's different because a lot of asexual, like it's gonna be like it's hard to probably had to take a moment to gather my thoughts. Like being asexual doesn't necessarily require you to show a relationship in a way, and especially aromantic. Like a lot of the representation and showing asexuality and aromanticism, it's gonna be a bit more complicated. So it has the potential to be even more insular, I guess I said. But what I do like is how much, like in real life and also in fiction, surprisingly enough, we are shown how communal, I guess, aspectness can be by showing ace groups or our ace groups and how we find comfort, like because we even with other queer people we don't necessarily get the support we need or the understanding we need, so we need each other, and it's especially become relevant online since Avon, and probably in like there's a Finnish asexuality org website. I probably have an account, but I barely go there. But I know it exists. And then also in real life, like I've mentioned sometimes that I used to go to an asexual discussion group, and it's still going strong. It's every first Monday, except not during the summer. Every first Monday of the month, and it's coming up pretty soon. But I haven't gone there quite a while, and I went there about 2 years, but then my situations changed in a way that I can't go there anymore unless I become a lot more blatantly open. uh, but so yeah, I enjoyed going there. I liked it. It was like our group was very much like it had been going on about 5 years by the time I started going. So they were like the reach runners who ran the meetings, and then there was one person who had been there like every time, and everybody else was kind of like in flux, and like you could come there when you wanted to, if you just needed to come once, or if it didn't seem like your kind of thing, because like I said, Like basically every time we went there, like there was like how long you've been coming, what's your romantic orientation, what's your sexual orientation, and if there's anything else you want to say about yourself, because Finnish doesn't have gendered pronouns, there was no pronouns talk. Well, it's possible that's like been added, I don't know. uh, but then after that, if someone had something that they wanted to talk specifically about asexuality, they could, and I did multiple times about various aspects, like how to keep from having to out yourself while when people be asking why you're not dating and you're just, oh, I'm just concentrating in school or work or whatever. Stuff like that. Or and then one was I had kind of a stalkery situation going on, so I talked about that. But other than that, it was like very open topic, just whatever you want to talk about. And it was, but with the understanding that like the pressures of sex and dating and stuff like that won't come up except for if you want to talk about how it sucks or stuff like that. So like I really enjoyed going there, and I hope to go there sometime in the future again. And I would like to go to meetups. They are more informal, like you go out for coffee or something like that, or movies or something like that. More of a event thing. I will need to look up when we have next meetups. So yeah, I have personal experience on age groups, and I really enjoy it. And it's fun and it's therapeutic and it's very much nice. And so I like that that gets represented on screen. Like it can feel like, oh, here's a bunch of asexual characters, give us pointers, but it's also true to real life. And so let's finally get to the instances of representation. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. It might be very long. So the first time that I can find that asexuality, ace groups was represented on screen on page was Shortland Street. It's a soap from New Zealand. It's been going on since the 90s, and sometime in 2007, 2006, they started to have an asexuality storyline with Gerald Tippett. And I think he's like the receptionist at the hospital, and like so he gets a very long asexuality storyline. If you go on YouTube and look up Shortland Street asexual, you get a whole playlist that has like 86 videos. They are like between about 10 minutes each. Like they are very old. They're also very old. They are like literally from 2008, the videos I watched. Like in episodes, in those collections, 21 to 23, you have Gerald is looking into, like, first he's broken up with his girlfriend, because apparently he came out with his mom, and his mom was aphobic and she wasn't supportive enough or whatever. So he's like, I don't think this is gonna work. Let's break up. And then his personal assistant or something tells him, hey, have you heard about the Asexual Society? And yes, they have a terrible website and I don't want to go. But then eventually they talk about it and he thinks about it. Do I want to go or do I not? And then he does go. And first, before we get to the Ace scene, we actually meet Jesse, who runs the place, who actually ends up almost being on a kind of setup with Gerald's ex-girlfriend Morgan, which is like humorous. He keeps running into asexual men. But Jesse is actually dating someone. He's actually dating Fiona, who's the one woman in the group when they meet. And then there's a third guy, but I don't remember his name. Like I watched this a couple of days ago. I started watching the Gerald's storyline years ago, but I kind of like this, and like that's a lot of lots of footage. Like it's very cool that exists, and I really should get on that to watch Shortland Street. But those moments, they were nice. Those videos. It does seem like like every single instance that reads into Gerald's storyline is in those compilations. So that's very cool that someone went through all that work to do that. So anyway, in compilation 22, I think it was, Gerald goes to the meetup. He meets Jessie, who's actually a web designer, which is funny because they have a terrible website. And then there was Fiona, and then the third guy, and they have about 10 people, and they meet once a week. They go out for coffee, or they go some activities like kayaking or stuff like that. So it seems very nice and chill, and it's a very good introduction to the concept of an ace group and what they do, or what it can be. That's it for Shortland Street for now. And the second instance is, I've already talked about this, is the Olivia Experiment. It was filmed in 2012 and it was released in 2014. And I talked about this movie in length in episode 4 of Asexuality in Film, in my Asexuality in Film series, and it has 8 watches, so like yay, that's more than my subscribers, so that's cool. It's very long and ranty. I wrote it based on my notes, because I hadn't been able to rewatch it before I made that video, but now I can. Yay. I haven't yet, because like I liked it on the first watch, after the first watch, because like the first 5 minutes of the movie are bad. But unfortunately, I think it gets better after that. Unfortunately, those first 5 minutes contain the asexual group scene, and then there's also the fact that Olivia comes home from that meeting, and her gay roommate is like, well, I don't think you're asexual. So it's like as a work questioning person, I don't think that's necessarily the best movie, especially because of the ace group scene. I have the script from springfield.co.uk, which is a very handy site for things like this. I recommend it. So basically it starts with showing there's about, I think there was like 7 or 8 people at a ace meeting, at a group, and then there's a woman talking, there's a man talking, and then there's a group leader, and they're talking about various stuff like I tried to have sex, but it made me sick. I've stopped trying to look at porn. It doesn't do anything for me. I just need to not try to make it for me. Like basically people talk about their sexual experiences a lot, and then there's like, oh, Olivia's new. You need to introduce yourself, and you need to talk, and I hate that. I hate when they do that. Oh, you're new, you have to talk. But that might be cultural differences, because in Finland you don't have to talk if you don't want to. So Olivia comes up to talk, and she's like, yeah, so at first they're like, Olivia, the asexual support welcomes you. And so like, oh, okay. I'm gonna just quote what he says. This is so awkward. I guess I'm searching. I think I have an issue with intimacy, so I don't really know what it's like to have a relationship. You know, we are in a society where people are like force-fed sex constantly. Why do we need that much sex? And I just I I can't function. I can't function normally in society, and I need to work on that. Then thanks Olivia, and then the meeting ends, and then the ACE group leader. I think you might wanna try out some different support groups. What do you mean? Sometimes people use asexuality to hide. There's no right or wrong, but it's just all about what's right fit for you. And it's like, why? As like I don't like maybe things were different, like a decade ago. Like I've been, I like maybe what things about like from a modern perspective, and even at the time, I like for as long as I've been aware or whatever, people have talked like if asexuality works for you, then use it. If it doesn't work for you, don't use it. It's not like what is she hiding from supposedly behind asexuality? Her intimacy issues? Or like why is it so wrong for if she has issues with intimacy that she identifies as asexual? It's like why? Like basic anything like usually the asexuality support is like okay, if asexual work, like if you have low libido, you can identify as asexual. Like I know that we have lots of like oh, the definition of asexuality is about attraction, and I get that in many ways that we need to like somewhat enforce that so that people accept that we are the sexual orientation, but real life isn't as simple as that. No sexuality is as simple as that. So it's more like if asexuality works for you, then great, use it. If it doesn't, don't. And that's how it should be. So it's very frustrating that for some reason, like what is Olivia supposedly hiding behind? I hate that scene, and it really sucks because like I do otherwise like the movie. I haven't rewatched it yet, but I will at some point. But I just that scene that it doesn't even make sense. Like why? It doesn't reflect the ace community that I know, that I'm familiar with. Like I don't know, nothing Olivia says is out of bounds for being asexual. So why are they like this? I don't know. And it sucks. It sucks that the first impressions of Olivia Experiment is like that. I hate it. I like the movie, at least the version I watched when I watched it for about almost 4 years ago. But I do when I rewatch that one. But I wasn't. I'm not quite ready because like that scene it just makes me angry. But fortunately, this was an indie movie that is probably not very well seen. But and the next one that we have, next instance we have of ace groups that is shown is more mainstream and much better. It's BoJack Horseman. In the third season of BoJack Horseman, Dot Chavez is starting to show some overt signs of possibly being asexual, and then season 4 really delves into it, specifically in his own episode in 403 called Hooray, a thought episode, where he mentions a couple of times that there's a meeting he's thinking about going to, but he's not sure if he's ready. And then ultimately he feels like he is ready, and we are showing him and being at an asexual meetup at a bar. And it's very nice, and it's especially nice because like you see a couple of characters that you have sometimes seen in the background of the scenes, and there's a bunch of different types of people and animals, and it's like it's very nice to see that like you don't know who is asexual, and there are probably more asexual people than you realize, and it's really good. And then it elaborates on that in episode 4 or 6, which is piece of shit. So in it, Todd has been dragged into being like this fake boyfriend of a movie star, Courtney Portnoy, and it has escalated to the extent that they are supposed to be getting married. And he's like, so he's at the Ace meeting, and he's like, oh, actually, I can come watch this reality TV marathon with you. I'm actually supposed to be getting married. And they're also like, yay, good for you, Todd. And like, but that's not weird. Like in very ways, Todd is struggling whether or not he can be in love, whether he is in love, does he deserve love, how can he get love, does he want love, and stuff like that. Because now he's basically come to terms with his asexuality, or mostly in terms with his asexuality, so now he needs to figure out where he falls romantically. So he has these various thoughts, and he talks about that out with with his asexuality group. And it's a very nice scene, again, showing a couple of characters that you have again shown in the background are also there. And it's nice, it's a little bit of simplistic explanation of asexuality and aromanticism, but they are mentioned. And they will elaborate on it further in season 5. And we also see Todd navigate 2 different asexual relationship first with Yolanda Bonaventura, who was actually in the first Ace meeting, but they are very incompatible. And then in season 6 he meets Maud through his asexual dating app, that he's the only person on it. And then there's Maud, and they have a very cute, very asexual relationship. And Maud is voiced by the lovely Echo Gillette. So it's a very good experience. It's like, overall, it's not something that you can just recommend to everyone. BoJack Horseman is not an all ages show, but I think if someone made a Ace Chavez compilation, I think that would be very helpful for a lot of people. So like, yeah, this is positive. So we have 1 negative, 2 positives, and I think the rest of what this is gonna be mostly positive. God, I've been talking about a long time. So next up is Koisenu Futari. It translates to 2 people who can fall in love. I think that's the official title, but I'm just gonna use Koisenu Futari. It's a Japanese show from, I think it was 2022. It's about 2 asexual aromantic leads and how they are navigating the world together, not as a couple. It's a very interesting show, but unfortunately I haven't had the time or the brain space to really truly watch it because I feel like so much of what I watch I need to immediately make content. So like, I watched the first episode without subtitles. I don't speak any Japanese, I didn't understand anything, but I got the vibes. And then I've watched some of the first episode with subtitles, but because there's so much good stuff, I just felt I need to screen cap and edit everything. So it's like exhausting to watch it like that. So I should just decide that I'm just gonna watch an episode and not cap it. Like, just leave that for later. Leave that for a rewatch. But I sometimes have a hard time doing that because sometimes you feel the need to make content and you want to make content. But so, but for this video, I heard that in episode 6, the female lead, sorry I forgot what's check the names of the characters. So anyway, the female character goes under a pseudonym, fake name, goes to Arrow Ace meetup, and there she meets Meta, who is an Arrow Ace question mark, and a man, again I don't remember his name, who is a asexual romantic, who has apparently just met the love of his life, and it's a nice scene, and I especially like the way Meta explained having the question mark after arrow ace for her, because I think I made this point in other videos, basically about Olivia Experiment and for Straight Up, which I think 2 people have watched that video. But basically, when it comes to asexuality and aromanticism, there's not gonna be you're not gonna get an official certificate from someone that, okay, you are asexual, you are aromantic, here's your flag, whatever. That's not how it works. You have to have internal. You have to decide internally that, like, okay, this is what works for me. This is how I'm gonna identify. That's it. That makes me happy. This is what works for me. And Meta is still a bit of a questioning phase, but she's still like, okay, this may work for me. I'm not completely sure yet, but that's also fine. And I forgot to say with Shortland Street, actually, Gerald, after he's had his ace meetup, like after he's really talked to Jesse about it, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna be I'm proud, even really proud about this. Like, he starts wearing asexual's party hardest t-shirt. That was really fun, and I really enjoy this aspect of what asexual groups, our ace groups, and these things, what they show about the strength in numbers, the encouragement you can get from meeting other people like yourself. So yeah, I haven't watched Koisenu Futari in full, but it was a nice scene. Then, finally, for movies and TV, there's Skam France, season 12, was about Mile Legal, and he realizes he's asexual during the season, and that's largely in many ways what the season is about. It's all available on YouTube, all the clips. There's the also official one, doesn't actually have all the clips, but if you find a playlist that has like 115 videos, watch that, because there's some repetition in that list, but it has all the scenes as far as I can tell. I watched those recently, the whole season recently, and I enjoyed it a lot. Mile ends up being outed on Instagram at the end of episode 6, I think it was, and then in episode 7 he ends up meeting Asha, who's like I'm sorry you get outed, but it's kind of nice to know that I'm not the only one at the school. And then Asha kind of gives him the support about possibly being asexual. And then in episode 8, Mile has come to the conclusion that, yeah, asexuality this works for me, and I'm really happy that I now know it. But there's this thing that I'm very interested in this girl, but she's also very sexual, so I don't really know, can I date her? Should we, like, I don't really know what to do. And you should come to our ace group. You will get you can get other experiences from there. Like Asa is very arrow ace, like she has no interest in anything, but there's a ace couple in the group. So in episode 12:9, that's where they go. He meets Tom and Julie, who are dating, and Tom clearly a man in his 30s, but he has just come out to his parents as asexual, and I really like that representation of the older coming out scene. And then there's Aline, who seems to be some kind of I don't understand barely any French, but when I was looking up the actors for the characters, it seems like Aline is some kind of actual sexuality expert or something in France. I will look it up and put it somewhere in the comments. So yeah, that's a very nice scene. It shows older asexual people and younger asexual people. Mile and Asra are like 17 or something, or teenagers anyway, and then they are all in their 30s, the other ones, and they talk about what it was like to date non-asexual people, what it's like to date another ace and how it works, but it's not there are also issues just because you're both asexual. And I think it's a very nice scene, and it also deals with aphobia. The clip is called Being Asexual, because it deals with like all the asexual being, like all the bullshit aphobia that we get when you come out as asexual. So it's a very nice scene, and I can recommend the season. Side note, I watched Druck season 8, that was on Mylin, and everybody on Tumblr hated that season, hated the rep, and I don't understand it. I think it was fine. Like, no, she never gets to identify as asexual or aromantic, even though she would benefit from that, but there's nothing really about her that makes her, like, okay, she's not in the no attraction ends of the asexuality or aromanticism, but she's somewhere there. I enjoyed the season. I haven't watched anything else, so I don't know. I completely skipped all the Skam. I had no interest in Skam at the time, except for I do have the season 4 script book for Sana, because I'm interested in that aspect, but I have no interest in watching the actual TV show. And I only watched these 2 seasons because of the asexuality and asexuality theme. Yeah, okay, I've been talking over 30 minutes and I still have some more to go. So that is TV and film, but it has also been somewhat represented on books. There are probably more books than I know. I'm gonna link like a write-up of this as a trope. But basically, like The Romantic Agenda by Claire Can. Joy met Malcolm when Malcolm was handing out some kind of asexuality pamphlet, so there was kind of a hint of an ace group thing, but that's in the past. Then there's Aces Wild. It tells about a friendship group, about, are there 5 or 6? Well, anyway, a friendship group of aces. I don't think they really met through I think they were playing the same game or some kind of, they met through the internet in some way, but not in an asexual way. Like, not through asexuality, they just realized that, oh, we are all aces, and let's become friends. And yeah. Then sometimes I will probably talk about this book. This is Kaapin nurkista by Eve Lomerto. This is Finnish. It translates to From the Closet Corners. It's about Jaro. He's 17 years old in 2011. And he's asexual. He's been outed at school. He gets shit about that. He gets bullied because of that. And he experienced also aphobia from authority figures. So he feels like, okay, let's go to an ace meetup in Helsinki. He's from somewhere in eastern Finland. And he goes to that meetup. I think there's, how many, like 7 people? I think there's about 7 people in that meetup. And they are from teenagers